which will be helping for our other members to join in as well. So before I proceed to share more about our leader for the week, so are we all ready to start or listening to our leader? If all are ready, type in the chat box ready, and then we will go ahead to start for the episode, The Art of Forgiveness. Let's see how many people are typing in the chat box. Great, thanks very much. Just started off, and then only 1, and then 2, and then 3. Thanks very much. People are typing in. Great. And let me give a quick introduction, personal introduction about Ms. Kezia Hitesh, and then a professional experience you'll be listening through a video. So Ms. Kezia Hitesh is married to Mr. Hitesh Kumar, and Mr. Hitesh Kumar is an operations head at an animation industry. And she has 2 sons, Joshua and Gideon, both around 18 and 14 years of age. And Ms. Kezia Hitesh loves singing, writing more proverbs, journals, and takes more time for her own self and spends time with her own self. And that's something really great. And one of her favorite sport is being football. So much more to listen from Kezia Hitesh. Thanks very much. So let's understand from Ms. Kezia about her professional background through a video. Welcome, Kezia. Thank you very much. And members, as well as the guests and the visitors, please type in welcome Kezia on the chat box. And there she is here for us. Thank you very much, Kezia, for joining in here.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thanks,
Yes.
Prakash.
Yes, Kezia, thank you very much.
You can see my screen?
Yes, we are able to see your screen as well. Thank you very much. So,
Okay.
Kezia, thanks very much for joining us here. And we have all the team, people who are leaders from different corporate companies are also in here to understand on the key challenges of the art of forgiveness.
Sure. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining this evening with me and also with Prakash and their team. Thank you all. I think it's a wonderful moment for all of us to have this comfort of online leadership series. I think we are at the luxury after the pandemic, or even during the pandemic, that we had a lot of opportunities to learn through the online series. I think this has really become a cost-saving model for many of the organizations today, and which of course was not for many years ago. So I think learning opportunities are really, one of the key centered factors that I think one should have as part of their agenda every day in their life. So thanks,
Yes.
Prakash, for the welcome introduction, and hello to everyone. So we have, some of the key expectations from today's call, where Prakash has already set the tone earlier in his recorded message in the Mask Leadership Group. One of the important qualities for the leader's growth is that he was been talking about the art of forgiveness and forgiving self and forgiving others. So I had a look at that pre-recording message this morning, and I was quite delighted that you had so much of interest in really the subject, and also the willingness to make sure that it is percolated to many people
Yes.
And I think this is one of the most unchosen topics in the leadership curve. And I don't think that many of the leaders, or even in the leadership platinum or workshops that we do, see about this topic being spoken about very at the outset. So thank you so much for choosing a very different topic. And
Yes.
also, I don't know if you had observed my WhatsApp, Prakash.
Yeah.
There is a line that reads in my WhatsApp profile, which says "Let go and forgive." So I
Yeah.
was wondering if you had, checked that out and you sent this topic to me. But that seemed to be very natural because I've been practicing around letting go and forgiving as one of the key topic to my heart for many years now. Maybe I think if I rightly remember, it started in 2013 because I realized that forgiveness really turns around and transforms people's life. A lot of things that we talk about psychology, because I'm also pursuing my master's in psychology, and I tend to understand
Yes.
that this is one of the core root cause of everything else that falls into the psychology solutions. So, which is why knowingly or unknowingly, we feel that people have hurt each other. And there is a myth that we should forgive people.
Yes.
It is
That's why
considered
that was my
as,
first question to you, Kezia. And the myth is what is my first question. In fact, if you could see that forgiveness is actually, we are able to understand that's a powerful tool or powerful quality. But there has been a myth in most of people's mind that if you start demonstrating forgiveness, that becomes a very weak leadership. Is it really so? Or what is your views? And if you can just share your views as how forgiveness is actually gaining more power, that would be
yeah,
really helpful.
yeah. So maybe, I don't want to make it like a very kind of Q&A mode and just get into the Q&A. Probably we should keep this Q&A in the end. But
Yeah.
as you see this presentation here, and they're just hardly about, 3, 4 slides that I wanted to showcase here today. So just to begin with, that
Yeah.
forgiveness actually starts in the heart, right? And it is considered, some people think that it is considered as a weak leadership style because when you talk about heart. But of course, when you talk about mind, you know that you're very strong and you have the capability and capacity to manage your emotions and so on and so forth. But demonstrating forgiveness really means that we are more courageous, we are patient, we are simple and humble. And how do we need to forgive others, and why we need to forgive others is also a very, very important question. So before we center our mind in the main themes of forgiveness, I would like to ask ourselves as leaders on this earth that everyone is looking for a leader, not just about those known by tags or titles or fame or glory, but those we match at unexpected and consistent qualities, right? And
True.
if that challenge each one of us and believe each one of us to be a leader, then whether or not, whether we hold an entire company or a team or people or group of friends, we see this quality of forgiveness right from everywhere else in our dad, in our mom, in our brothers and sisters, extended families, or even just ourselves. So they are role modeling a behavior of a leader quality by far. So we all are leaders in some form or the other. Let's just park forgiveness for a moment, right?
Hmm.
Whatever size or circle of influence may be today, if we work on the three things which I feel is very important, even before we talk about forgiveness, I think we'll be able to understand this concept a little better.
Yeah.
Maybe if I can just go to something that I have invented, and you would not find this in the Google also. If you search, maybe you will find them in a different mode or fashion, but certainly I don't think you will have three combinations put together from what you see in the slide. This is something that I have birthed out from my experience.
Hmm.
I feel that everything starts with a thought, you know. We create a small space in which we can choose our thoughts.
Yes.
Uh, you start noticing them, and then you start asking the very important question to yourself: whether do I want to keep thinking on this particular thought, or do I want to ponder on it, or I want to stay with it, I want to harbor on that thought. So I truly believe that our thoughts rule our world. right? After all, our beliefs are just our thoughts, and we keep thinking over them again and again. So that's why why I need to be very diligent, or I think all of us have to be very diligent. At the main core of the seed is, what are your thoughts, right? Sometimes it tend to, you might end up believing those thoughts. So when we focus on the negative, and guess what will happen? They are likely to spend a big part of the day, and it becomes a mental loop of thoughts, and you fill with anxiety rather than contentment. And whatever you think about your world eventually becomes so, right? So I think thought is very important, that we should have that controlling power or self-control designated at the thought itself. And the next element that I want to talk, which you can see here on the left-hand side, is the second one is imaginations. Now, Albert Einstein said that imagination is the most important than knowledge, right? He knew a thing. I don't know if he really knew more than one or thing about imaginations. I sometimes also think that he never even noticed his hair and people's opinion about what his hair really looked like. So his gift to think beyond convention and to the question authority and the conclusion of what the scientist world that he brings in is imagination. He really imagined something that brought light into darkness. So he went into imagination probably because he really had a thought, or he struggled with that particular thought. So imaginations have so power right from the thought itself. But the most dynamic part of these imaginations, for example, if you want to go and see a movie, let's say, so you start with a thought. You have seen the billboard, or you have seen the screen trailer of the movie, and you were like inspired that you want to go and look at the movie itself. So you had some frame of imagination to the thought of the actors who are being screened on that particular movie, or due to their popularity, and based on which you might have imagined that this will be a super successful movie. So you have formed from your thoughts to your imaginations, and then it slowly became a desire in your heart, right? So we can see this picture here about the great person, Mr. Napoleon Hill, who said the starting point of all achievements is desire. So every achievement has to start with a desire. It is very simple. If you don't have a strong desire, you will not bother to invest any effort or time in achieving any particular goal. So you simply may not care enough if you don't have that desire also. So these are like more consequence to your thoughts, and then your imaginations, and then it becomes your desire. Now, desire is where you feel what you have successfully achieved, or whether you have failed in the overall journey. And the other next important thing that this is something that I was drawing this actually this morning, to be very honest, and I was really trying to bring some equation to what forgiveness is really all about. I don't believe in just going through Google and surfacing some modules and trying to really picturize of what forgiveness could be from theory perspective. But I really wanted to bring my experience as a leader. And how do I see after 40 years of my journey, how do I really see forgiveness as? So this is the message that I want to give to the audience, and thereby I was able to draw this equation, and we can patent this equation also. So heart and mind are, the well-being of any person, right? We should not underestimate the power of our mind. Mind actually brings into manifestation of things that really don't exist. For example, our parents tell us that your words have power, or think positive, don't think negative. What you speak is what you become, right? And these are the common sayings of our parental advice also. So in other words, you're calling into things as you speak your mind, and what settles in your heart, you speak in your words. So by your words, I know if I spend longer with you, I can actually start judging and justifying what sort of person you could actually be. Not only professionally, but maybe sometimes I can draw some patterns of behavior as to how you would behave even at home. So you must take control of your mind every second of your life. So let's look at the math here. So if you see here that those thoughts that you sow every second in each of these figures, right? It's not a very complicated math. Here we are talking about 365 days, 24 hours, and 60 minutes and 60 seconds, which is a simple exercise. But
Yes.
ultimately, look at the bigger number that it is contributing, right? It is actually forming a big tree with along its fruits hanging below, right? And the fruit could be a good fruit or a bad fruit. So similarly, that if you don't take control of your thoughts and what you sow every second of your 365 days, then you might end up forming a leadership image which may go in a very wrong direction. But if you're able to take that self control, trust me, you have journeyed towards a leadership image that will draw and inspire and attention of other people. So if this is very clear in your daily practice, you don't need to wait for the world to recognize that you are a pronounced victorious leader, but you will certainly become rewarded by divinely of who you are. Certainly, it's a conscious choice and a self decision which will surely capture the subconsciousness and the unconscious dimensions. So it's very, very important that thoughts really do matter. And then coming to the main part of how I would sorry, formulate this is that let's look at the position or main attention to this presentation about the art of forgiveness. And as you can see here that tell me how many of you really want to be happy in life? How many of you? Can I see some of the
You can
charts
type in the chat box.
say that you're not, you don't want to be happy?
Yeah. Members as well as visitors, you can type in the chat box for the question which Kezia is asking,
How
or we
many of
can
you,
feel free
how
to
many
answer.
of you really want to be happy? Yes, I'm sure everybody wants to be happy, right?
Yes.
All of us want to be happy, or should I say, do you really want to be happy? So maybe that's the better question you need to ask yourself every day. So
True.
yeah, absolutely. Most of you are responding that you want to be happy. Brilliant. Exactly. Everybody wants to be happy. So even I do believe at least let's say 99.9% animals, people, creatures, everybody wants to be happy, right? Today you see most of the organizations are preaching and teaching through online learning sessions or series. And you see one of the top 10 topics in the organization today are mainly about stress, self-management, right? They're the topics that are listed on the top. It's not because of the pandemic, but even if you ask any learning leader or someone who is holding a HRD role or a learning professional job for quite some time in the industry, you would definitely hear from the legacy leaders that most of the topics are subjected to personal development more than the professional development, right? So personal development involves many subjects such as anxiety, when you talk about self development or personal development, we name them or split them into different topics like anxiety or how do you manage fear. There are 14 types of fear. There is depression, there's lack of sleep, there's body pains or angry, bitterness, let's say indignation or irritation. There could be hate or hurt or hardness of heart, jealousy, enmity, grudge, and grievance. All these things circle around, personal development in the opposite direction and how you stay positive. So if you put them all together, at least out of the 16 or maybe that I have mentioned, 4 are due to the root cause of unforgiveness. Okay, I'm just going to pause there. It is because of unforgiveness. And
True.
how is it? Because it affects negatively your body and your mind. And many research has determined that imagining or not maintaining the order of our mind, it will lead into all these things that I have mentioned, right? So if you have a proper mind order, you will be able to manage stress and anger, which will aid in sleep. It will reduce anxiety. It will improve your overall health and well-being. So what is forgiveness? The formula in the math context is very important, right? Because it allows us to divide or share. So when you look at the number game, for example, let's consider, if you want to divide 10 divided by 2, what are you really doing here? You're trying to share those two numbers, 10 sweets, as a hypothetical example, between two children. So both children must end up with the same number of share, right? So whatever you divide is you share. If you live your life leaning on someone has offended you and remembering the pain of the past, you will leap only pain, as you can see on the right hand side. And it will be shared as an energy everywhere you go. But if you let it go, when this is something I learned from my mom, my late mom. In honor of her, I want to say this, that she had taught me to love. Right, when you let go, you will be able to build love in yourself because you're able to care for yourself. If you don't care for yourself, how will you be able to care for others, and how will you be able to love others? So basically, you need to love yourself before you love others. If you hate yourself, that I'm not good, I don't look good, I don't look beautiful, I have a long nose, I'm fat, and I don't meet certain expectations of people, and I'm trying to impress A, B, C, D person around me, then you start losing your self management and your self interest about who you are and how God has really created you. So I think it's very important to have that self reflection about who you are. You're unique and you're created for a purpose, and your purpose is definitely going to lead you to your destiny. If you're able to believe that, love will form in you and also in others. That is where you will be able to take that courage and boldness of step to forgive people, so that there is an act of self will and genuine empathy that will draw a bright future to the tomorrow. So if you look at the math here, if you carry the hate and if you divide it by the past, you will only reap pain. But if you believe in exhibiting love, and if you divide it by the future, because you're future oriented and you want to receive happiness, as you all mentioned in the chat, which means you're going to end of the day reap joy. And when you start reaping joy, obviously this joy will bring a lot of happiness in many lives and generations to come. So let me tell you that forgiveness is nobody's business. It starts first with yourself. To forgive is like, you set a prisoner free from the prison and discover that you are actually the prisoner. Sorry.
Yes.
So you should be able to set yourself free first before you set others free. So forgiveness can be counted as the extreme generosity in simple words. But what forgiveness is not, also, I think, is important for all of us to know. We just can't go tomorrow wearing the hat of forgiveness, and everybody who come across us and somebody who bypasses us and let's let the bus go on us. You don't say I forgive the person, right? So there are also, what is forgiveness is not is also very important. I think there are only two things, at least to my conclusion, that forgiveness is not always a physical reconciliation.
Okay.
Sometimes you might feel that there are some relationships in your life which you may not want to go physically and reconcile, though you have in your heart reconciled through forgiveness, that you will want to let it go and avoid that particular person. So you don't want to reestablish trust physically by going and sitting with the person and saying that, here I am and I have forgiven you, so let's meet from tomorrow. So you have to be very watchful whether forgiveness again is not about physical reconciliation. The second thing that I want to be very simple about, so you can carry a message home, is that forgiveness is not ignoring the aspects of accountability and justice principles, because we abide with certain laws, rules, and regulations, and we live by justice. Not just we're talking about the whole earth here. Earth functions on certain rules and regulations and laws and principles. So forgiveness should not be ignored as part of accountability or justice principles where we cannot compromise, right? So
Yes.
again, not everybody can forgive. Forgiveness is not a gift that everybody can have it. That's the truth, and it's the fact. It is a myth that everybody can forgive, but again, it is not impossible. Let me tell you why I had that tag on my WhatsApp, let go and forgive, because I had been in situations in my life where it has formed a sanctuary, and I was not able to focus even in my profession and also in my personal life. So, which is why I had been counseled that forgiveness is something that will break all that centuries that you have built in your heart about people and impressions and assumptions and perceptions. And so, when I exercised all of that, and I understood when God is love, and if God is able to forgive us freely, then why not we as human beings try to module the image of God? And so, which means everything is possible, and you must learn to forgive and give freely, which of course is a bold step. So, the last slide that I want to talk about before, I don't know why it hanged here. Just a moment.
Yes.
Okay. So the last slide
We
that I
also
want
have a
to,
few more questions.
yeah,
We
the
also have a few
last,
more questions. Maybe.
yes, I see a question coming from Rajiv. Yeah, sure, we'll
Yes.
answer his question as well. So the last slide, this book is very important, and I have learned a lot of
Okay.
things from this book as well, more from a professional standpoint, from my personal experiences that I shared so far. So this is a very rare book to find in the business context, and it is well researched and well documented and well written book. At least I'm very convinced when I read this book by Fred Kale, and it's a small 200-pager book which says on return on character. We do here as HR, return on investment, which is a very common word for all of us, especially in training. That's the first question that the CEOs would ask: that what is a return on investment, irrespective of where you invest, right? So now I see that this book, I think, is more shifting the dimensions of human mindset. That return on investment is about the real reasons why leaders and their companies win. So here, as you can see in this model on the right-hand side, there are many ways to measure the degree to which a leader can demonstrate positive character. Now here, when they say return on character, the word character it doesn't literally mean about a character of a human being, but also we are talking about the character of the transformation from a leadership quality standpoint. So in this book, character is more like an assessment of the presence around these four principles that any leader, whether it's a small leader, and as you grow into the maturity curve, it's very important that you, if you're called to be a CEO or a management guru or a great leader, I think at the maturity level, this is the outcome. This is not something that you would be exercising. That means this is something that more than a manager to a transition into a leadership curve, that you should be having one of the competence called forgiveness. So integrity, responsibility, I'm sure you're all familiar with. If you go to any organization and ask them for the competency model, one of them would be certainly be responsibility, accountability, ownership. Those are very familiar terms. And if you talk about values in any organization, you know that integrity is a must and not forsaken. But the other softer part I understood from this book is about forgiveness and compassion. And I really, had an awe when I read this, that how come a leader should be having this competence of forgiveness? And you don't ask this question in the interview process or even the personality assessment to any of the leaders, that you would not ask one of the questions whether do you really forgive yourself and others, and what does forgiveness really mean to you? Or you don't interview and select somebody based on this competence called forgiveness, right? It's an unseen area in the world of today. So integrity and responsibility, I'm sure you all know, but forgiveness is a powerful characteristics that exhibit the strengths to relationship, right? If you have to form relationship as a leader and network and socialize and collaborate and teamwork, all those nice fancy words that we hear in the leadership, paradigms, you cannot build relationship if you don't let go and certainly forgive. So an important truth is that leaders' success is definitely uh, lies on influencing. If you have to build relationships, then you have to also influence. And if you don't influence through a positive nature, then how are you able to influence people? Of course, you may influence them through your knowledge, through your outcomes, through your visionary leadership or charismatic style. But your soft part of it also, which is unseen, should be able to influence people around you so that you're able to collaborate and build those network and build those conversations, so on and so forth. So if there's an absence of empathy, certainly there is no forgiveness, right? So these are the more critical soft part of the competencies that I would encourage leaders to work upon, because courage in leadership means having the courage to endure the consequences, whether good or bad, of doing the right thing, right? So compassionate leaders, again, the last part of this box, for example, I would relate compassionate leaders to humble leaders who are willing to admit mistakes, and who are very have stronger connections with people around them, and who are able to discuss openly and vulnerably and open to feedback and open to transparency in the organization when things go uncertain, and there is especially during ambiguity that leads to others in different difficult situations. So I think compassionate leaders we do need around us so that they are able to build self and build others. So I would just like to conclude saying that character is the tree, right? And reputation is just a shadow. You as a leader are not known because of your reputation in the organization. That's just a shadow that will pass by, but you're certainly known by your character. So if you're able to form in between these four dimensions, what does really leadership character mean to you? Certainly, forgiveness is one of the centric for you to build that relationship in your self and also in the organization. Thank you.
Great. Oh, wonderful, Kezia. An excellent explanation which you have given with respective to the art of forgiveness and the book which we explained. It's been tremendous. We have got wonderful insights on it. So, Kezia, we also have a few more questions on the same as you asked, but I would like to ask as a quiz question to all the participants itself. So, let's see how many participants have really or taken all the respective points and have made a note as well. So, maybe Kezia, can we turn off the screen as well so that will help?
Sure.
And we'll be able to share off our screen. And before we take a quiz, so members, I'm sure we all have taken up or been listening patiently to Kezia, and then we have been understanding the key points as the art of forgiveness and how we actually could develop. Definitely, Kezia is going to help us with a couple of more points. But let me take you through the last week's quiz winner. The last week's quiz winner who has been come. Are you audible? Just a moment. So last week's quiz winner is Mr. Ramakrishnan, and he is from Parley Agro. Just a moment. I just have an internet connectivity. Okay, thank you very much. I believe it's audible now. So the last week, the person is Mr. Ramakrishnan, who has been from Parley Agro, and he has been chosen as the winner for the respective quiz which has been done. So this week also we have a quiz. So members as well as the guests, please to type in a quick quiz question which I'm going to ask is, Ms. Kezia has shared a question about what is the formula for joy, and she did share a formula for joy. Kindly type in the chat box the formula for joy, and I'm sure, let's see who is the key winner for this respective. And that wasn't a slide, just a previous slide. The formula for joy she did type it in and she shared with us. So love divided by future. Okay, love and future, love comma future, love divided by future. So that's Mr. Yugender has actually shared it right. Wonderful, Yugender. And you receive the Mask Leadership 360-degree assessment as complimentary as being the first. And we also have Ambika Subramaniam, who has also been sharing that love divided by future. Thanks very much, Ambika. But yeah, we go this time first with Mr. Yugender. So Mr. Yugender, we request you to kindly unmute yourself first. And we'll be giving an opportunity to unmute. If you can unmute yourself, Mr. Yugender. Mr. Yugender? Right, I believe you have given the option to unmute. All right, Mr. Pankaj, if you could just help Mr. Yugender to unmute, and that will be really grateful. And with that, we'll also have one more question in the meantime, Kezia, which we have with you. We have excellently explained us the model of the how forgiveness is all about. Yeah, Yugender is unable to unmute. Pankaj, kindly help Mr. Yugender unmute him. Okay. So in the meantime, we will also take you through one more question, Kezia, which we have. Okay, the question is, if we can just give an example now. Honestly, if you could see that people knowingly or unknowingly have definitely hurt each other. So one simple question is, what is the first step you would like to suggest all our members here as if we have really hurt a person, knowingly or unknowingly it could be, what we need to do? And if you can just share that, that will be really helpful for our members here. So what could be that first step? So there are two ways. One is forgiving self and then forgiving others. So we're just talking about the forgiving self, Kezia, here.
Yeah. So I think, if people really hurt you, uh, there could be many reasons to a hurt, right?
True.
Because of hurt, you build hate. And the sequence of hurt will draw into unforgiveness. So I think it's very important that you should be knowing that in this world that you have two kinds of people. One
Hmm.
kind of people who belong to the light and the other kind of people who belong to the darkness. So, if you are able to try to differentiate and know them closely and carefully,
Perfect.
what sort of relationships you are forming? Not every relationship you must have in life. You need to have a chart for your own self to really understand what
True.
sort of relationships do you have, and right that stands from the door of your own house. Now, of
Hmm.
course, in your house, you can't throw all of them outside, even if you hate some of them on the inside. But thankfully, I love everybody in my house. I love my husband, a wonderful person, and I have wonderful, sons, and I have my 24/7 maid with me. So suddenly, I tend to kind of reflect upon what sort of relations do really matter to me. If I'm able to sum up that definition very well, now, relationships sometimes can go for selfishness, and it also can go for purity of truthfulness.
True.
When you talk about selfishness, probably you have an agenda there. Maybe you want to build something, or you want to have a great future because of this person, or you want to use that person. Maybe use could not be the right word, but you might want to benefit out of that person in
Yes.
some form or the other, right?
Yes.
And that could be a good reason also. But sometimes it tend to become more self-centered
Hmm.
rather than people-centered. So
True.
I think it's important to really understand what relationships really do matter in life. If you're able to bifurcate that very well, and when you know through those examples of the behavior that these people demonstrate, that
Hmm.
is not leading you build your positivity in your mind, it's better to avoid those people. Why do you want to hang out with people and socialize with people when you know they are hurting you enough? So
True.
I think you are the judge of your own self. No one should tell you which relationship is good or which is bad. There is no such formula on relationships that these are the right relationships and these are the wrong relationships, because relationships keep changing as
True.
humans keep changing. So sometimes your enemy can also become your Samaritan tomorrow. So you
Yes.
have to hold a lot of wisdom to really understand what relationships, if you're able to manage that better, you will be able to go by far, run away from hurting of the people.
Great. Wonderful, Casey. That's excellently shared, in fact. And if you can just ask one more. In the meantime, Yugender, we are able to unmute yourself. Mr. Pankaj, if you're able to, Mr. Pankaj and Manish, kindly ensure that you are able to unmute Mr. Yugender if it's possible. All right, so Ms. Kezia, before we get to the last question, let's give an open option to our members here in the community as well as the visitors here. So members and visitors, you get an opportunity to ask questions to Kezia, and she's given us a nice model of understanding of how forgiveness really operates and what are the key aspects in through which we need to be doing. So any questions which we have to Ms. Kezia, please go ahead, and I'm sure Kezia will help us. And Ms. Kezia, we also request you to kindly turn on your video so that it helps. And people who would like to unmute yourself and to ask the question also, turn on your videos. So yes, so either you can ask by raising your hand or you can type in the chat box, either way which you feel comfortable. So let's go ahead first. Any questions so far in the chat box, or who would like to ask a question? We can go ahead. Any raising hands we will see, and we have also time is it taking up. Okay, so Mr. Devrayan, you have any questions? I believe you are able to see you. Do you have any question, Mr. Devrayan? Okay, so yet too. So I believe Yugendra has been unmuted in the meantime. Mr. Yugendra, I believe now you'll be able to speak to us. Is it fine?
Yeah, Prakash.
Great. Thank you very much, Yugendra, for actually receiving the mass leadership 360-degree assessment for complimentary. So, and you can interact with us, and we'll be giving you the logins for the Mask Leadership 360-degree assessment. But in the
Sure.
meantime, do you have any question you can to Miss Kezia?
Not really, Prakash.
Okay. Great. Thanks very much, Yugender. And Yugender, if we just introduce you, may I know which company you are from and where you are from?
Yeah. So myself, Yugandhar, I'm currently working in a mid-size startup called Everest IMS Technologies. So basically, this company is into IMS as well as a few artificial intelligence platform, and is working through SaaS-based platform. And I have almost 5 years of exposure in HR. So completely into HR journalist.
Wonderful. Excellent, Yogender. Thanks very much for joining in. I'm sure you will be getting more and more inputs. Great.
Sure.
And yeah, we also have Mr. Devrayan. So, Mr. Devrayan, you have any questions, sir?
Yeah, good evening, Prakash. So I'm in the mask. Forgive me, I'm in the office setup and I can't remove my mask. So
That's okay.
good. So, to Kezia, thanks for sharing, the wonderful thoughts that you shared. And one question here is the leadership has the leadership qualities should have the forgiveness, quality. But where we should forgive, where we should not forgive, maybe it's a thin line, between forgive and not to forgive, right? So, a leader cannot forgive all the times, and a leader cannot be, stubborn on all the times. So, what is your key advice to the leaders, like where to and where not to, something like that?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the question. So I think one of the important aspects when you look at from an organization perspective, every organization wants to build a good culture. Everything drives from a culture point of view. Now, when you talk about culture, there are two main elements for any organization to be successful. One is the importance of achieving the goal, and the other one is the importance of relationship. So, right, your top KPIs in your organizations, they move around these two main elements. What goals are you trying to achieve, whether it's short term or long term, and what relationships are you marking upon, whether it's short term and again it's long term. So, I think for a leader, the main challenge when it comes to forgiveness, when it starts to demonstrate, is especially during the conflict management piece. And I'm sure you know what conflict management is in any organization that, or as a model that we talk about, the 5 things that evolve into the conflict management, right? Competing, collaborating, compromise, avoiding, or accommodating. Those are the 5 chapters that you see in a conflict management. So, depending on the maturity leadership curve, uh, line leaders have a different agenda. Supervisors have a different agenda. Managers have a different agenda. Leaders have a different agenda. And of course, as you go up, you talk about the management team and the executives who are sitting on the board. So the common thin line that they would really have to work upon is the conflict management while they're trying to meet these goals and these relationships. So where forgiveness comes is that, as we had the earlier question also, that if people hurt you, what would you do in such a circumstances? Now again, this is going back to conflict management, to this art of forgiveness, is you should be aware of yourself that you're not here to compete with people, right? You have been called into an industry or to an organization for your self motivation, and also for the development of the industry, and also for the future development of your career, and you want to build your family. So the competing part is eradicated. The second thing is collaborating. Now, when you start to collaborate, there always have to be a win-win situation. This is where sometimes you have to step back, and you really need to understand wisely that what areas you can step back. Argument is good, but if it is not done in a very authentic and data-driven, or it is not being in a structured manner. So collaboration is where is needed in any form when you want to achieve these goals and relationship. So that is where conflict management can challenge you while you are trying to collaborate. So sometimes you have to let go and you have to move forward. For example, in Foxconn culture, if I can use this example here,
Okay.
we report, at least I reported into a Chinese, international manager who sits in China. So basically, his style of working and my style of working is very different, right? And this is something that can happen to any industry. The expectations are very different because of the culture, because of the values and belief system, and so on and so forth. But we still need to collaborate with each other. We cannot complain, murmur, and be submissive, and we can't compromise on certain things. So we to get to a win-win situation as part of the conflict management model, I need to collaborate, and there are some times where I just need to let go and be more future focused. If there is no proper quality dialogue between me and that person, then there is no question of collaboration. So I think that's a journey through which you will learn how to win-win over a situation, and that is something you must work upon. Third part of the conflict management is compromise, where both the parties win and somebody has to give up. So I
Yes.
really don't think in the maturity model of your leadership curve that you should really learn to compromise. I don't think that calls in for a strong leadership. Compromise it should not be there, but collaboration and win-win should be the role model of conflict. Avoiding and accommodating is also something that I do not suggest as part of my experience in leadership. So I think if you are able to exercise on collaboration as part of the conflict management, you will be able to learn the art of letting go, and forgiveness becomes very easy for you.
Super.
Yeah, thanks, Kezia. Rightly said, we need to work on the collaboration. Good, but actually, in the personal relationships, the forgiveness and other stuff comes very quickly in the work environment, right? In the corporate world or in the in the what do you call it, as in the returns oriented world, where I can say. So there are competencies, there are competitions between people in a same in a row. So there, the forgiveness, the art of forgiveness is less. But as you rightly said, to have a more collaborative effort, definitely this forgiveness has to be practiced and helps. Thank you.
Yeah. And second thing, also, maybe I want to bring my personal example. This is something I've really learned and worked and exercised throughout my career is that you will never be put in an uncomfortable situation if you're technically competent. Let me tell you. Soft skills are something that you can build over a period of time. People skills are something that you can build over a period of time because these are experiences that build the soft skills. But technical skills is something that you have to be very assured of, and then learning and development is very important as you grow in the journey of industry and this competitive world. So if you're very good in your technical competence and in the way you are able to project that through these programs and projects that you might be driving in your organization, I'm sure collaborating will become more simplified than the way it is being said in the conflict management model. There, you will not see competing, you will not see the opportunity to compromise, you will not see the opportunity to avoid or to accommodate because you are so confident on your technical capability and your success of how you're going to execute your whole program and project. You'd never would give up, and thereby parallelly, if you have some weaknesses on which you have to build, maybe the polished aspects of your people management skills, which I think will grow over a period of time. So forgiveness becomes easy if your technical competency is also very strong enough.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Nice, thanks. Thanks very much, Kezia. That's been really interesting to interact with you more on these aspects. But yeah, definitely time has been for us, and then it's already time. And we need to be also coming closer to an end of the particular program for the art of forgiveness. So, members as visitors, in case if you wish to get more insights and inputs from Ms. Kezia, please do let me know. I will be happy to connect you to her, and she'll be happy to share as well with her. So in the meantime, then I'm sure the next week also we have our guest. Let me quickly introduce you our next week's guest who is going to come to us here is Mr. Habib, who is the managing director and chairman and managing director of RWD Private Limited, which is a construction major, which is in fact in North South India. And he's one of an excellent personality, which is going to discuss and give us the key insights, very practical insights about leader as a risk taker. And throughout his personal life, he has taken a lot of risk. In fact, in how he feels to take such risk is what is going to explain to us more practical insights next week. So So please do join us next week as well. So
So
before
Rajiv
we,
Prakash, Rajiv had a question to everyone,
yes,
which I just wanted to come back. The equation after is not visible because of this picture or speaker. So Rajiv, are you clear about the equation? If you want me to remind you on the equation, so the equation was for unforgiveness is
true.
everything in numbers is divided, right? So hate divided by past is equals to pain, and forgiveness is love divided by future focus will reap always joy.
Joy.
Maybe something that you guys might have not noticed in that slide. Can I ask you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Maybe I want to. I don't know if many of you might have not noticed this. Maybe I can want to leave this as a as the end of this session. As I'm
Please.
sharing my screen now. Okay, what is it that you notice very different between the right side of this picture on this equation? I don't know, Prakash, you want to give a prize for this, but for paying attention at least. If you don't remember anything, at least you'll remember this now.
Yes, definitely, teacher. So
Yeah.
repeat the question again, Kezia, that will help.
So what is it? Something that's very predominant in this picture, which you may not have noticed, but it is being centered there. On the hate divide past is equal to pain, love divide future is equal to joy.
Well, that's a clock, is it? That's a watch.
No, not on the background, not on the presentation background.
Okay.
It's very close to past and it's very close to future. That's another clue.
Full stop as well as comma.
Yeah, excellent.
Again, yeah.
So there,
That's a
Arjun.
good
Brilliant. So you have answered that. So you might really think that why is it full stop and why comma there, right?
True.
So when you have hate formed in your life, in your mind, which is divided because of the past, you put a full stop to your life,
True.
right? Because you don't see anything, or there's no hope in your life. Everything looks to you like I'm done with this, right? This is my last bus stop. But when you have love divided by future, it's a comma because you have to move on. You cannot stay where you are.
Yeah.
You're created uniquely, and you are here for a purpose. As long you can believe that, and as long you can trust in your own self, you'll be able to move forward and reap that joy for generations to come. So that is why you have to eradicate the full stop and utilize comma
Come
to
on.
move ahead.
Excellent, Kezia. Kezia, I believe we also have one more member raising a hand, Mr. A. Sindhil
Okay.
Kumar. Time is also getting, it's little crunchy time, but yeah, Sindhil Kumar, if you have any questions, since you've raised your hand, one last question for the day we'll take up. Or Mr. Sindhil Kumar, was that what you wanted to answer the question which Kezia had? Kindly unmute yourself, Mr. Sindhil Kumar.
Actually, I want to answer to the question what she has raised.
Oh, I was about. I think that was good.
Okay. Brilliant. So
Great.
thank you everyone for giving this up, taking your time, and also having me here. It is my pleasure to interact with all of you, and I won't say stay positive, but stay love. Okay. So all the very best, and care and receive care. As long you're a giver, you will receive more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Kezia, we have one last thanking video for you and for all the other members as well as the guests. So let's play the thanking video now. Welcome, Kezia. Thank you very much. And members as well as the guests and visitors, please type in welcome Kezia on the chat box. And thank you very much. So thank you very much, one and all. It's
Manish,
been
do
really
you want
great.
Prakash,
Yes.
do you want to play that video I sent to you? I think it's just a 2-minute video.
Yeah, it's a 3 minutes video, but
Okay.
there's an excellent video, in fact, which Miss Kezia has sent. For the members as well as the visitors, if it's just a 3 minutes video, if you're able to hold on, that would be really great. It's a kid speaking. So Manish, if you can just play that video, it will be helpful for the people who are able to stay back. That would be really great.
So
So
this, just as you're playing, I'd like to give the context of
and
the background of which, of course, was not for many years ago. So I think learning opportunities are really, one of the key centered factors that I think one should have as part of their agenda every day. The recorded session. So thanks,
yeah,
Prakash, for the welcome introduction.
true. Thank
Okay,
you.
yes. So it's
Thank
all
you.
right, no problem. So you have to play the video,
Yeah.
Manish. So just give you a background to all of you quickly. So this is a video about a child who is offering good advice to her parents. And I suppose her parents had some fight, heated argument. I'm sure they must have come to the shore where the child felt that it's a very important advice that she wants to give. And I think we should have a child heart. So let us look at this video.
True. Yes, Manish can go ahead and play the video. And we'll also do share this video on our group so people will also be benefited as well. So just the time being, now we can also play the video. Go ahead, Manish, please do play. Mr. Manish?
A very different topic. And also, I don't know if you had observed my WhatsApp, Prakash.
Yeah.
There is a line that reads in my WhatsApp profile, which says,
You need to stop the other one.
if you had, checked it out and you send this topic to me. But that seemed to be very natural because I've been
Manish,
around
Manish, maybe you need to stop the other
thing.
Yeah.
As one of the key
also
topics in my
YouTube
heart,
live
for many years now. Maybe I think if
Okay, so maybe we can send it to everybody and they can view it. So it's a beautiful video. Please take a look at it. And all I would like to say is that, yeah, I think it's playing now.
I want you and my dad to be placed as settled and be friends. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want everyone to be friends. And if I can be nice, I think all of us can be nice too. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to do my best in my heart. Nothing else than that. I want you, Mom, my dad, everyone to be friends. I want everyone to be smiling, not like being mad. I want everything to smile. Especially when I see someone, I want them to smile. Especially Nana, everyone. I want everyone to smile. And if that's for my dad and you, Mom, I think you can do it. I think you can settle your mean heights down a little to short heights. Then it's both, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm trying to be steady on the floor, not way down, on straight, on the middle where my heart is. My heart is something. Everyone else's heart is something too. And if we live in a world where everyone's being mean, everyone's gonna be a monster in their future. What if there's just a little bit of persons and we will eat them, then no one will ever be here. Only the monsters in our place. We need everyone to be a person. Everyone, including me and my mom, everyone. I just want everything to be settled down. Nothing else. I just want everything to be good as possible. Nothing else.
Thank you, Tana.
So this is available on YouTube also, so you can take a look at it. So the first question that she would ask her mom is, are you really ready to forgive? Right? So that's the important, and she says a very important liner that it all just, lies in the heart. So if you're able to take control of your thoughts, your mind, your imaginations will be right, and your desires of your heart will be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kezia. That is really an inspiring video. In fact, the last which we did play, and I'm sure that would have really given more clear insights to people. So thanks one and all for being in here, and thanks very much, Kezia. That's really excellent that you have taken your time to come here and give us your clear insights and views about the topic.
Yeah. Thanks, Manish. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Meet you all. Thank you.